This will help you deeply understand anyone's intentions, especially if it seems confusing or perplexing, if it seems like they are pushing against a shared common vision. And this could apply to relationships, this could apply to organizations, coworkers, bosses, any situation where you believe on one level you're working towards a unified goal, but someone appears to keep operating in a confusing or perplexing way. I'm going to simply say that what is shared with you here is a very potent way of being effective in any organizational structure. And I'm going to simply request that if you tune into this, that you are going to apply these methods and perspectives with genuine heart, genuine integrity in all that you do and be and say. Now, I'm Danielle Lynn, and as mentioned, I'm a navigator of reality, connecting with cool cats such as yourself. A big part of my own background in being able to share this with you comes from having over a decade of experience in behavioral psychology through doing performance marketing work, performance coaching with people of all ages, all backgrounds, all positions, and seeing the intricacies between personal dynamics and team dynamics across a variety of organizations, relationships, and even interpersonal situations. And so in today's experience together, I am noticing that there is a rising tide of leadership of all shapes and forms that is coming to the surface. So this particular video is going to assist you with remembering some deeper awareness of not only human psychology and behavior, but even a deeper awareness into yourself that will allow you to seem like a magician negotiator, even though nothing I'm about to share with you here has anything to do with manipulation, but rather being able to access the truth seer that's already present within you. All right, let's dive in. One of the core fundamentals that I'll bring forward when it comes to understanding human behavior is that we must begin with transparency within ourselves. So long as we hide from ourselves, then we are only working in projections and potential distortions that root from our own inner mirror, our own inner source. Everything that you experience around you is ultimately coming through your own lens to begin with. So the foundation of this exploration, even though ultimately it will assist you in navigating conflicts and challenges with others, is going to begin by being deeply rooted in your own self-awareness. So many misunderstandings happen because you may start with the foundation of what's important to you and then presume that the other person has common sense or is aligned with your vision without realizing that another person has their own game, their own perspectives, their own biases and projections that they're often playing from. When you arrive at this particular message, I would perceive that you actually have a pretty good amount of self-awareness, enough so that you would be drawn to observing and watching this kind of material, and more importantly, to shift from a mindset of winning into a embodiment of being effective while still honoring yourself and yet not accepting BS from others, which is really what this is about. Because without self-examination, the place that a lot of people fall into is they fall into a trap of either fawning, doing fawning behavior, in other words, people-pleasing behavior, in which they imagine that by people-pleasing, they can get the outcome they want through being likable. But really what this does is this will make you exploitable to those who recognize the fawning behavior and can end up in some really interesting codependent, resent-forming behaviors and relationships. The other one could be seen as the bulldozer, or the one that I'm going to get my way, I'm going to see my way through, this is a competition and I'm going to win. And you can be effective in getting your will pushed through, but oftentimes this doesn't harbor deep feelings of team cohesion and will likely create fear or repression symptoms in a greater team dynamic in which other areas of the team will maybe vocally support you but silently sabotage you. So people might wonder, well, then what's the middle way? What's the way to actually be effective here? Well, the first thing to understand is that, once again, most people in reality, is that fair to say? Let's just say that there is a good number of people in the current form of reality at the time of recording this that operate deeply unconsciously in life in a way where they are trying to get internal needs met through external solutions or validation. This is something I actually saw a lot when I was working in team dynamics with business. You may or may not be shocked at how many people actually undermine what would make a business successful because they want to be the one that is the hero or saves things. So if someone else in the team would bring something forward that would even theoretically benefit everyone, including them, they might still sabotage it because if they're not the one being the hero, then they don't want to see another one succeed or rise. And before we get too upset at these people, understand that sometimes this is a deeply unconscious pattern that they're playing out. They may not even be fully cognizant that they are doing this. And so what happens in a lot of politics, and I'm speaking just like the politics of the office, the politics of the world, the politics of administrations, of any kind of organization, is you have what is seen as the external unified goal, and then you have within it the sometimes overlapping shared individual or group goals, and then you have everyone's personal goal, like the reason they are doing this. And first check your own bias. See why you are there. Are you in this because you are looking for this experience to give you a sense of personal fulfillment, of personal meaning, that you felt lost, but then you started operating in the mission and now you feel like you have purpose? And this is not about judgment, but genuinely being honest with yourself. Because when you're honest about your own motivations, you can start seeing clearly others' motivations. Your transparency within yourself transforms you into a truth seer because you're not hiding from your own inner challenges, even if some of the things you see are like, oh, that's interesting. It suddenly brings you clarity into your own tendencies. And here's the thing, when you're clear about them, you can work with them. Instead of suppressing your shadow, like maybe there is an element of this that you're like, yeah, I feel powerful when I do this. And I'm guiding my desire to be empowered and I'm channeling it into a way that's mutually beneficial for everyone involved. And this is what it is like to work with all the elements of your energy without shame, blame, or guilt. And in the same way, we can start looking at others in the organization and we can start understanding that other people may have these differing perspectives, backgrounds, and interests. But instead of demonizing them or pushing them or even getting confused about outcomes, you start to see what the map, what the grid of human power in a certain team field is actually lit up and what gets the different circuitry to respond. And sometimes this can be a very eye-opening experience. Like, ask yourself, well, is this the place for me to occupy now that I understand my motivations so that I can be genuinely effective? So this is not an answer that you get from your mind. This is an answer that you know deeply within your being, within your heart, within your gut system. It comes from recognizing yourself as your own ultimate inner authority of discernment. And it allows you to move from mental loops and trying to think your way out of an experience into being so present and discerning that you actually connect to the deeper knowing and understanding of what it is to do. Whether or not it seems easy to your mind, you have a lot more clarity. Remember, clarity does not come from thinking. Clarity actually comes from having no thought or clear thought and allowing what is resonant to emerge. It's literally like a clearing, it's clarity. In order to really coordinate with people, in order to really understand, right, their intentions, now that you understand yourself or you're cultivating that understanding of yourself with deliberation, you have more of an ability to meet others without taking it personally. This is so key. It's really easy to get your ego flared up in a situation, especially when you feel incredibly passionate about it and you're pouring your heart and soul to it. And it feels like the kid is coming along and kicking sandcastles down, and you're just like, why? Because this is our sandcastle. Well, this assists you in perceiving the overall mechanics of life. And rather than becoming a victim either to your own emotions or to the circumstances that are happening, it allows you to be a navigator of what's possible in a situation. When you have clarity within yourself, you not only have that ability for yourself, you actually emanate it to those around you. And people unconsciously start perceiving your power. They unconsciously start perceiving that there's something to you, there's something you know. The funny thing is, the thing that you know is simply that you are receptive to what the genuine answer is. Not that you're running so many thoughts in your head, but that you are flexible, fluid, and present enough to be the responsive one in a situation and to be able to make clear choices, not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of all involved. And this is the other key. Even if someone appears to be a jerk, and even if someone appears to be challenging, when you are, in a sense, an energetic leader, which is what you are being when you are stepping forward in personal sovereignty and exploring these kinds of maps and patterns, is everybody, not just the people you like, not just the people you get along with, all become part of the map of your consideration. Everybody that you are interfacing with becomes part of the consideration. Because in order to effectively negotiate and navigate, you're clear within yourself, you're clear what your values and your boundaries are, you're clear what the ultimate goal and motivation is beyond your ego story. It's essentially what you are the energetic champion of. And then when you are navigating with another, even if they are being challenging with you, it's not about winning or beating them down or pushing them over, but it's about meeting them with such presence that you find the place where the natural cohesion point for everyone emerges. Now, there may be times where that doesn't appear. And there may be times when someone is in so much opposition, it's almost like they have no place to actually meet you. And in those moments, what I do is even that I drop, because my goal isn't to fight another person. My goal is to be the most effective steward of the energy and the vision. And so at that moment, I actually go within and I say, okay, then what's the path now? I navigate any opposition with as much neutral energy as possible while being open and perceptive to where and how the energy wants to navigate. I take responsibility for what is mine to tend to, and everything else is actually for the, let's just say, greater universe to handle and sort. And so then this is also an awareness of what is your responsibility. Instead of pretending that you must be the champion of all things, you focus your power where it's effective while allowing the greater energies to sort out the rest. And again, it involves being really honest with yourself so you're not gaslighting yourself into pretending something that is your responsibility isn't your responsibility. And this is where nuance comes into play. Now, all of this here, once again, could be applied to relationships, organizations, businesses, all these little things in between. And one of the things I feel really inspired to offer and facilitate at this time, I offer, and I have offered before, focused strategic sessions. These are like one-on-ones with me. If you are someone who is cultivating something in your community, you're building a business, you're doing something of this format, this represents an opportunity to work with me in that professional way and to receive both perspectives from this clear guidance way, but also consider the heart of the matter. So if you would like more information about that and what it entails, then please check out my description link. Now, something that I imagine is essential to speak to here is this information goes beyond an us versus them mentality. It is more about deeply understanding the nature of individual and mass psychosis that many are still being influenced by, so that you can root in clarity, not only within yourself, but actually in many ways be an instigator and amplifier of clarity through your personal embodiment and living in integrity and authenticity within yourself. I will speak just very momentarily here that we are in such a time of radical change and radical unknowing that there are many who just may not know how to deal with it or deal with themselves. When the things that you have anchored into for so long appear to be slipping away from your fingers and under your feet, it can be easy to attempt to grab onto meaning or purpose even as old definitions are slipping away. And so this is neither about attacking or demonizing others or yourself, but it is about assisting and amplifying a remembering of where genuine personal power roots. And this is key. Our individual and mass relationship with unknowing is part of the pivot point here, from operating individually and as a group out of fear into being able to operate from more of a genuine love for ourselves, for our fellow humans, for nature, for this world. And it's not coming from a place of wishy-washy thinking. When a person feels genuinely grounded within themselves, they have the ability to make more clear choices. And right now, that's one of the most powerful ways that you can meet this world wherever you are at. This is the time to be so responsible with your inner state, with your outer state, with the way that you are responding and feeling. It is my own experience that the deepest grounding you find is within yourself. And it's within your relationship to how you approach what happens in your life. You will not find deep comfort in attempting to know more things, because no matter how much you know, there is always something that is unknown. And so instead of trying to fill the void of that unknowing with lots of thoughts and things, this is an opportunity to actually discover who you are when everything that you thought you knew about yourself sits to the side and you're simply meeting yourself heart to heart, gut to gut, face to face, eyes open, in the most authentic way, without shame, blame, or judgment. This is your opportunity to look into the mirror of yourself. And the foundation that you cultivate from here will be unlike anything other you have experienced, because this represents a genuine creation, not one rooted in running from yourself, but one loving and deeply merging with the core of who you are, even as you discover what that is. I'm also going to simply mention that at this time, I feel a very rising focused energy towards these kinds of discussions that will amplify those of us who are really taking the embodied steps to not only think about living authentically, energetically align with living authentically, but actually embody what that may look like through experiences. So if you would like to also be aware of what experiences may be coming up, I invite you to check out my newsletter. It comes along with the flow book, and you can see that in my description link. And that will also key you into opportunities. And in all cases, my friend, I'll simply invite you to remember that if you're running something over and over in your head, this is an opportunity to take some steps back, to actually come within your body and being, and to start exploring the experiences of your life with a new intelligence, or maybe an old intelligence that already exists within you, and to start developing this root of trust and embodiment that will guide you through every kind of situation you face, no matter how complex it seems. The highways of life, even though they may appear to be chaotic, if you move with awareness, with synchronicity within yourself, everything actually comes together with a deep sense of order and coordination. Think less with your mind at these moments and move more into embodiment in the present moment. This is the message. It's been such an honor to connect and talk with you, and I really look forward to our next connection, our next conversation.